Alrighty then. Welcome. I mean, episode 12,
We made it.
we made it. I think
Didn't think we would. We are inconsistent, but get used to it.
get used to it because we have lives. This isn't our job. But anyways, thank you to anyone who's still listening to us. This is now we can tell it's no longer just friends and family listening to us. We have loyal fans.
Love
Amazing.
it.
Anyways, let's just get right into it. The focal point, the focal focus of
The
this,
focus.
the focus. What does focal mean again?
I don't know, but it sounds too much like fecal.
Fecal. The fecal matter of today's
Yes, let's get into the fecal.
the fecal matter of today's episode is Karla Sofía Gascón. She is the star of the audience panned but critically acclaimed 13 Oscar nominated film Emilia Perez, which is a Netflix film. Karla Sofía has been nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role. But she is no longer in the news for being the first trans woman to be nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role. She is now in the news for being basically a terrible piece of shit, a terrible, terrible person, a very bigoted person. But yeah,
She's so bigoted. Like there isn't a community out there that she hasn't offended. Well, to be honest, there's no signs of anti-Semitism.
but yeah, she said something vague about a certain dictator from Europe, but I don't think it was anything explicit. She has demonstrated no anti-Semitism, sorry.
But every other community has been hit. So how many communities do you recall have been offended by her?
Not one, not two, not three, but 3,000. She hates every mostly pretty much every minoritized group. I don't think she said anything transphobic, did she?
No. That she's safe. So she's not a transphobe, she's not anti-Semite, but she's hit every other community. So starting off strong, Black people. Am I right in remembering that she called George Floyd a drug addicted monkey?
Said no, she didn't call him a monkey. She called him,
No, she called Black people monkeys, but I don't know if it was George Floyd specifically.
I think she called him a drug dealing hustler or something like that. Let me go find the exact comments. But she
called Muslim women obviously something to be fearful of.
It's bigger than that. She hates Muslims. She's a terrible she I think Muslims were the number one. And then if we're ranking it, it's Muslims number one, Black people number two, Asians number three. I'm trying to think. But yeah, she referred to George Floyd as a drug addict swindler. She said, I really think that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict swindler, but his death has served to once again demonstrate that there are people who still consider Black people to be monkeys without rights.
I knew there was a monkey involved.
She's been monkeying around that one on Twitter for years, and that was in 2020 that she wrote that. Truly a hateful person. But the thing she said about Muslims, let's just get into that. She said in 2016, Islam is becoming a hotbed of infection for humanity that urgently needs to be cured. I mean, I think once you start getting into words like disease and infection, and not just that, people will defend this, by the way, and say, oh, she said Islam, she didn't say Muslims, but it's kind of like, okay, I don't hate Muslims. I just hate the thing that makes them Muslim. And I'm like, you can't be Muslim without Islam, because remember, we are not an ethno-religion. You guys kept telling us that. So you either can, you can either say things like that and get away with it, or you can be consistent. Sorry, Ladan.
Yeah. And she has explicitly targeted Muslims in her diatribes on Twitter. And it's not that long ago. It was only 2020 when she said, I'm sorry, is it just my impression or is there more Muslims in Spain? Every time I go to pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels. Next year, instead of English, we'll have to teach Arabic. So that's explicitly a racist diatribe towards Arabs and Muslim women in particular.
Mm. No, yeah, just more other stuff about Islam. I think she posted a racist meme about Muslims. I'd say most of it was directed towards Muslims and people of color because she is a white Spaniard. Um,
And a big
anyways,
fan of Christopher Columbus. So very on brand for a Spanish person that is colonizing Mexico at the moment with her film that is completely devoid of any Mexican
they
representation.
hate it. Mexicans hate this film. I've never seen an entire country boycott a movie. This is truly like they are like fuming about this film. But
The
just wanted
Muslims, Black
to,
people,
yeah. No, I just
um,
wanted to mention though, that the person who unearthed these tweets is a Somali Muslim. She's a black Muslim journalist, Sarah Haji, but isn't it? It's Hagi, but I think pretty sure it's Haji.
yeah, I think Haji.
Yeah, she
Brilliant journalism on display.
brilliant. I accidentally forgot to credit her when I was tweeting about it because I thought that the people of Brazil unearthed it. But to be fair, Brazilians do not want Emilia Perez to win Best Actress because they want Fernanda Torres to win for I'm Still Here or whatever the film's called. They want her to win. So I think that they're kind of jumping on the bandwagon a little bit. But I got so many lovely messages from Brazilian people when I wrongly credited them. It was actually Sarah. Unearthed the posts. It kind of reminds me of when I unearthed the tweets of Selma Blair.
Credit to you. Where was
Sclerosis,
your support?
multiple sclerosis warrior, disability justice queen, Selma Blair. Yeah, like I wish that Variety got in touch with me, to be fair, so I could do it.
Because you found all of her very racist tweets around
likes. It was before. She's very lucky that Elon Musk got rid of her. And to be fair, I'm also happy that Elon Musk now hides likes because I'm liking some dodgy stuff like about Israel and stuff like that. But no, yeah.
she was tweeting about BLM being a terrorist organization.
Isn't
Actually, no, to be fair, she was
it?
liking.
Yeah, she was liking a lot of it. Was she wasn't posting publicly about Islam and black people. So there's definitely a pattern between anti-blackness and Islamophobia. People, you can never ever just be myopic about Muslims. The hatred definitely spreads. It's never ever far away. You won't, whenever you see an Islamophobe, you scratch them, and an anti-black racist bleeds. So but Selma Blair is definitely not an Academy Award nominated actress, and I
Never will be.
doubt it, never will be. I strongly doubt it. But then again, Hollywood, they all live in the same gated communities. They're all friends with each other, and being nominated for Best Actress is all about campaigning. So you never know. She might be playing Golda Meir in a film one day. You never know, Selma Blair. But the cast and the people involved in Emilia Perez, they all seem like a mess. People found tweets, Instagram posts of Zoe Saldana supporting Israel. And there's also Edgar Ramirez. He's definitely a Zionist. And there's the film director is a white French guy, so you can't really expect much decency there. And then you have Karla Sofía Gascón. Then you have the worst human being in the world, Selena Gomez. The worst human being in every situation is Selena Gomez. It turns out that Karla Sofía Gascón, those tweets about about Selena Gomez were doctored. So that was,
Oh, were they?
yeah,
Okay, because there were some tweets that were apparently part of all of her hateful tweets over the past 4 years or so, which basically called Selena Gomez a desperate loser, still pining over her ex-boyfriend.
Oh no, puta. No,
it wouldn't come as a surprise because all of her tweets are so reckless, and it just goes to show that obviously the fault lies with Karla Sofía for sending out that hate, but where the hell was Netflix when they were screening her before promoting this film? Because obviously this is a film produced by Netflix. They've since actually, I think as of yesterday, stopped providing support for Karla Sofía in her
they're not paying
campaign.
for her flights. She's gonna have to pay for these out of her own money to go to, I don't know, the BAFTAs and the Oscars, which is, I know that people have mixed opinions on, duty of care from companies, but I find that funny. I'm happy that she has to pay for it herself.
Yeah, but where was HR before all of this happened? If I was
I
promoting a
think,
film like this, I would definitely screen the tweets of up and coming actors.
yeah, I think that though, they probably didn't pay too much close attention to it because she didn't post anything anti-Semitic. I'm gonna always go back to that. I'm sorry, but I feel like there definitely would have been some more due diligence if it was.
And she wasn't left wing. I think left wing actors are put under a microscope by the industry, across industries.
Yeah, but I feel like the tweets would have been unearthed quicker if she was. The fact that it's been unearthed now, it's very telling. But yeah, so I wanted to just quickly ask: should she have her Academy Award nomination rescinded?
I
Is
don't,
is she nominated for being a good person?
yeah. The whole premise of this film is centered on identity politics. She's, I think, the first trans woman to be nominated for the Best Actress Academy Award. So this moment
Mm,
is beyond the film because everyone recognizes, besides the Academy, recognizes this is a terrible movie.
yeah.
So if she's being promoted as a symbol of inclusion, diversity, all of the things that Donald Trump is trying to destroy, but she represents none of it in her character, then it's a terrible film and she's a terrible person. So the whole
Yeah. What is there to celebrate? It's going to
Mm.
be a very strange thing. You know how at the Oscars they normally have the Fab Five format? They had it on and off, to be fair. I personally
What's
think it's
that?
quite cringe. So the Fab Five format is where so when it comes to best leading actress, you have five previous winners of best actress. Normally, yeah, I think it's they have to be winners, and each one of them gives a really cringe, lame speech before the winner is announced to the respective nominee. So, for example, I don't know, I don't know who it would be for Karla Sofía Gascón. Like I think last year, I'm trying to think. Like, so for example, Renee Zellweger would be at the would be part of the Fab Five, and she
Mm-hmm.
would be giving a speech to Emma Stone if she's nominated, that kind of
Mm,
thing, to just sort of tell everyone this is why she's a fantastic actress, that kind of thing.
mm,
And then after each five of the Fab Five do that, then they announce the winner. It's a
mm.
very cringe thing, but they were going to bring that format back, but they can't do that this time around because who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Dr. Trump? No, who is going to be taking the hit and being that Fab Five actress giving a speech to Karla Sofía Garcon about how amazing she is when she isn't?
Yeah, they need to pull that. I think if they decide to void her nomination, like with
They
any
won't. I feel like they won't.
yeah, I don't think they will. But with any precedent like this, my fear is always that they will narrow in on left-wing actresses and actors in the future and rescind nominations for, let's say, supporting the rights of the Palestinian people. I think the
It
blowback
sets
is
a
always
precedent,
against.
I guess, for rescinding nominations. Now, I say let her keep it. It's just one evening.
Mhm.
I doubt this person will ever be nominated ever again. I doubt that we're going to have to hear from this person ever again. Fortunately for us, she can't really speak English, so we don't have to deal with her.
That's how she got away with it this whole
That's how she
time.
got away with it. But thankfully, there can't really be like an anti-Muslim grift from her because I'm like, sweetheart, no hablo inglés. Um, so we don't have to hear it. Unfortunately, Spanish Muslims and Mexican Muslims and Spanish speaking Muslims will have to deal with that. Yeah, I feel like you're not nominated for being a good person. At the end of the day, one of my favorite actors of all time is an awful human being, John Voight, Angelina Jolie's dad.
Yeah, he's a Republican.
He's a Republican, but he's MAGA. But it's not just MAGA. He's also very anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian. But one of my favorite films of all time is Runaway Train that he's in, and he was nominated for an Oscar for that for leading actor. I would have hated if he got his nomination rescinded for things that he said in the past. So no, I feel like let her keep it. There is a debate around whether there's a debate. This isn't really our debate to have, but there is a
Mm.
debate around the wider element, surrounding trans actors not having their own category. um,
Mm.
I don't really have a dog in that fight. I personally, again, don't really care because they're such a teeny tiny minority.
Yeah.
It just seems silly, and I'm sure that there are some great actors. I feel like hopefully people don't let Karla Sofía ruin this for everyone else
Yeah.
from that community, but they're just putting it out there because that is a part of the debate. There are, interestingly enough, a couple of people that I've seen who are anti-trans who were like, look at this racist trans person. I'm like, oh, please, you don't care about the Islamophobia at all. You just don't like the fact that it was coming from a trans person. But I did see one person, I think their name is Zoe Bryant. They're on Twitter, and they were like, oh my goodness, look at how this is going to affect trans people. I'm like, I don't think trans people are the victim in this. Like, think
Yeah.
about how this is going to impact us. Like, fuck you. The fact that people can really get away with Islamophobia, that is the real crux of the problem. There's a 1,400-year religion that's been demonized. The fact that all of our countries get destroyed, our children get bombed every day. I really don't give a shit how this makes trans actresses look. Like, go away. Like, do one. Honestly, fucking do one. Like, that pissed me
Yeah.
off when I saw that.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen any of the extremist TERFs speak out about Karla Sofía and call for her Oscar nomination to be withdrawn post this scandal. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but every TERF activist is incredibly racist and Islamophobic.
Oh, most, I think there's two that I follow on Twitter, but I only followed them out of their pro-Palestine activism. That was how you find it. And then you realize afterwards. So I have seen a couple, but they're a teeny tiny minority.
Remember that one that pushed you?
Which one pushed me? Oh my goodness, that voice to space. Yeah, she's anti-Palestine.
We won't mention her name.
I won't mention her name, but she's vile. But no, there's a couple that I have followed purely out of the Palestine stuff, and then you kind of realize afterwards, oh, like that's not like, you see a few tweets, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That hate has to go somewhere. They have so much hate in their hearts. It can't just be concentrated.
TERFs are very hateful people that I feel like they're not nice people in general. I think a lot of it comes from they are like, the Waitrose, not so yummy mummies who are just miserable with their lives, and the hate needs to go somewhere. But it's always been with Muslims. Like, one of the funny things was that debate that was happening like a decade or so ago about gender segregation in Islam and among Muslims. Like, why are there single sex spaces between Muslims? And now all of a sudden these stupid bitches want single sex spaces when it comes to trans people. I'm like, take that L, hold that L. I wish you many more trans women in toilets. Like, I really don't care. Like, so
I remember that so much in the early 2000s, where they would seek, and the 2010s, where they would seek out gyms in areas populated by Muslims, like the area that we grew up in, and then they would discover scandal. There's a session just for Muslim women. It's because it's a Muslim dominated area.
No, it was just for women.
Yeah, and they would narrow in on the fact that Muslim women were using it, and it boggles me that today those same people who are on a rampage about the fact that some Muslim women prefer to work out without the gaze of men are now.
It sounds like you said without the gaze.
No,
Gaze.
With the gaze eyes, are now turning around and saying, "Bring back gender segregation."
I'm like, suddenly they understand that Islam is a religion that does understand that there's a difference. Like, it's not a unisex faith. Like, that's how it is. So yeah, haven't seen that much backlash from them. I just saw a couple of tweets of them jumping on the bandwagon when it comes to Karla Sofía Gascón.
Shout out to Sarah Hadji. She's really shed a light on this. And what I really liked was the interview that she did with Variety. The last question is really, really good, where the interviewer asks her, what would you say directly to Gascon? And Sarah replies, nothing. She's just another racist. And I think that's the energy that we need to take with people who are vile towards, ethnic minorities and Muslims going forward. There's nothing to argue with them about it. There's nothing to teach them. They're just racists. Shed light on it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and then keep it stepping.
Yeah, and just having hope and faith that many people are against it. I think people get too comfortable thinking that no one's going to defend Muslims, but at the end of the day, do we really need that many people defending us when there's 2 billion of us? Like, we can defend ourselves, and there'll be many allies who support us too. You've seen over the past 15 months. Many people have turned to Islam, many people have turned to their Muslim friends, many people like, I don't think it's gonna wash the way that it used to, the Islamophobia thing. And in a way, we've been quite blessed that people have been so Islamophobic in like the worst ways for the past 3 decades that I think people are also figure like the younger communities are not Islamophobic, and then the older communities are going to die out, and then you've got the middle-aged ones, like people are tired of it, like so I feel like it's just not working anymore, because at the end of the day, you work with us, you live with us, you're friends with us, we work for you, and we clean your toilets, we are your carers, we do everything. So I'm just like, no way. Like, I'm happy that Sarah Haji had like a big fuck you attitude in that interview. She's wonderful as well. I love her tweets. So that's brilliant. But yeah, no, just what a shit show. I hope though that Zoe Saldana doesn't win, because she's kind of throwing Karla under the bus. And I'm like, bitch, you're the same. You just don't like the fact that she's embarrassed your campaign. So I hope that she doesn't win. But then again, I feel like because she won previous awards, that she's gonna probably take this. And this is, I'm against people using DEI as a pejorative, because I do think DEI is now a euphemism for the N word. Only
This is a DEI.
this is a
This is a
DEI
DEI
movie.
film.
This is a DEI movie, and not just that. Zoe Saldana for that terrible, like all the clips that I've seen. I mean, I've only seen one review from Katya, the drag queen, and Trixie and their podcast, and that was enough to put me off the movie. But everything that I've seen about this film, everything I've heard has just been against my will. So I just hope that she doesn't win, because I feel like instead of rescinding Karla Sofía Gascon's nomination, the best gift would be that they leave empty-handed.
Yeah, in shame. And to see Karla walking down the red carpet with her head hanging in shame, that would be, I think, the biggest win. The only thing that film has provided the culture is a plethora of memes. I cannot think about that movie without thinking of that part of the movie where she sings yes, 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 and
From
now I'm thinking about the
vagina, rhinoplasty, yes, yes,
yes, yes, yes, and now I'm thinking about all the tweets that Karla Sofia brought out. Like, how many people has she offended? Blacks, Muslims, Koreans. Yes, yes, yes. Like, it's just a cringe fest.
Anyways, I'm bored of talking about this puta.
This puta. But yeah, other things that I guess have been blowing around, causing a stink, has been the Orange Man demolishing DEI, shutting down the US aid office. So there's going to be a lot of NGOs that were spreading propaganda that will mysteriously disappear. I think the economy of Nairobi is going to shut down. We're Somali, obviously, so we're going to see a lot of crooks in Nairobi out of a job. I think that's something to celebrate, to be honest.
One of these days, we are going to need to talk about the new alleged president of Syria. Sorry, but I feel like we've tipped around it because we're not Syrian. But I'm listening, I'm looking at all that stuff, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how many decades of post-terrorist attack Islamophobia just for them to let the second in command of ISIS be gallivanting with Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell? We can talk about that another day, but I just wanted to give a shout out to many people from that community who, I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at them very side-eyed at the moment. Very, very side-eyed.
It's a lot of DEI gone mad as well there. I know you probably sound mad connecting DEI to Syria, but whenever people on the left criticize the fact that ISIS is taking over Syria at the moment with the support of the Tony Blair Foundation and being interviewed by Alistair Campbell.
Yeah, the I in ISIS stands for intersectional.
Because whenever we try to speak about it, we get shut down by people calling us Assadists. I don't support Assad. God almighty.
Same. I've got nothing positive to say about that guy. Those dungeons were like 3 stories below. Like, I get that, but don't tell me, especially as we come from a country that's been ravaged by Al-Qaeda terrorism, that we should be okay with that. Especially, I mean, countries were invaded under the false pretext of you know, certain countries being involved in 9/11 when they had nothing to do with it. So then it just kind of makes me feel like everything that we've been taught has been a lie, and that we just need to completely abandon identity politics, even among our community.
Mhm.
It's very funny. Many Muslims end up sounding quite woke when it comes to this. Like, you know, when the way that they talk about it, especially when they're talking about the anti-imperialist left and the way that they've demonized us, I am definitely, I find tankies to be gross and all that stuff. So I'm
Yeah,
not
we're
into
not
that kind of
tanky.
shit. We're not, and I have nothing kind to say about like the previous dictator, but it's just like one of those things where I don't think people understand. Yes, alhamdulillah for you, but how will that affect other people as well? Don't ever
In fact, the Syrians. Can I not talk about the plight of the minorities in
the
Syria without
religious
being Syrian?
minorities are getting lynched. I've seen videos of them. And the funny thing is, it's so strange. There is radio silence from the corporate mainstream media on religious minorities. And the funny thing is, it's like the people killing them tick every single box of who they normally demonize. So why is it in this one particular case that it's fucking George fucking Galloway, like, and other lunatics like that are the only ones posting about it? And I just find that really interesting. I'm like, that's a religious minority. I saw one of
What?
them getting slapped up in front of his son. He was an Alawite. And I look at that and I go, yes, he was part of the demographic that was the ruling elite, but he wasn't, he's a citizen. I thought that we were understanding the difference between non-combatants. Like, it's very hypocritical, but unfortunately we're just gonna have to rely on independent media to expose this for us, because you if Alistair Campbell, the architect of manufacturing consent for the illegal invasion and destruction of Iraq and Afghanistan, can be interviewing and being bum chums with Jolani, I just think, okay, what does any of this mean then? I almost feel like, I'll be honest with you, it should suspend all Islamophobia going forward, because I'm like, you guys demonized us for all being collectively guilty, and yet the person that you have embraced is actually a terrorist. So it's just quite fascinating. But yeah, no, I
It's
don't
very
want to get into
Orwellian.
any debates with them lot, because then you start to hear like, hear so and so voices. I'm like, but guess what? Israeli Zionists can say, why don't you only hear our voices? I'm like, I don't give a shit actually. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I'm not gonna let identity politics guide me on this one. Took a little bit at the beginning, when the regime change happened, like, to just for us to just sort of not say anything, but we're looking at it now and it's just starting to look very suspect. And I just feel like, yeah, many people are owed an apology, but
I don't think we'll hear that
we won't
anytime
be
soon.
hearing that. And unfortunately, because they're religious minorities being persecuted, they're minorities for a reason. There's a few of them, meaning it's going to be easy for them to be ethnically cleansed by ISIS fanatics who have rebranded. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Something I'm going to actively try and avoid doing is describing people as cranks, because this is where we find ourselves. The mainstream are embracing ISIS, and the people that are, you know, raising the flag saying, hey, this is weird, isn't this a terrorist organization, are being labeled as cranks and loonies and tankies, all of these,
sadists, yeah.
yeah, all of these jibes to mask the fact that, hey, they kind of have a point.
Kind of have a point. Yeah, no, I think we're just going to need to watch this space for that one. I am in solidarity with any religious minority that's being persecuted. It's funny, we were told all along that we support targeting religious minorities. This is the thing that's kind of mind fucked me a little bit. It does feel like a lot of we need to have a full review of everything that's taken place since 2001, like the discourse surrounding Muslims, the demonization of Muslims, because this thing that we're witnessing right now completely flips everything on its head. How can you expect, like, if something horrible happens with ISIS in the West, for any Muslim to say, oh, I condemn or I apologize, when you've just embraced and normalized relations with and promoted the unelected president of Syria? Not that the other guy was legitimately, you know, I'm not talking about him. We know that he's bad. But yeah, anyways, I feel like I want to do a deep dive into Islamophobia into one of these episodes because yeah, the time to condemn is over. It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
That's one thing I pledge in 2025 to never ever condemn because it's got nothing to do with us, and we often are the people who feel the effects of the boomerang. So no way, absolutely not. But yeah, no. Just wanted to say thank you, Ladan, for joining me on today's episode. It's a bit of a short and sweet one, but I feel like today's one kind of needed to be short and sweet. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already followed us on Spotify, please do listen.
And if
Right?
you don't mind sending us like tips on what to talk about, because yeah, I'm quite curious about what people will be interested to hear about. More pop
Yeah.
culture.
We don't want to yap without you guys telling us what to yap about. So
DM us on Insta.
yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter as well, and yeah, or you can actually add a comment on Spotify.
Yeah, actually, that would really help with the algorithm.
Yeah, brilliant. Alrighty then. Cheers. Bye bye.